Hi everyone, welcome back to Pretty Little Garden. In today's video, I'm going to be direct sowing some zinnias. So I'm just sitting on my back patio and looking through my box of seeds here. I have a whole bunch of seeds that I purchased over the winter time with the intent of starting a cut flower garden of my own. And I still have that intention. I just am a little late in getting started, but better late than never. So what I'm going to do today is show you my raised garden bed. It's beautiful, it's from Garden Supply, and I'll show you what that looks like and give you the details on that. And then I'm just going to be looking through what I have and showing you what I'm going to be planting in that raised garden bed. My husband and I put that raised garden bed together probably mid-spring, and my husband also stained it for me, and it turned out really nice, and I love it. It's beautiful. It really matches the furniture on my back patio and just the coloring of my house. I have a darker colored house, and my window boxes, and I was really happy with how it turned out. So I will show you that. But the first thing I'm going to do is just go through my seeds and show you what I do have in terms of zinnias and what I plan to direct sow today. So the first zinnia that I will be planting today, direct sow, and the word or term direct sow, because when I was just getting into gardening, people would kind of throw that around, and I just really wasn't sure what it meant. And direct sow just means that you are planting it directly into your soil, into your garden, into your landscape. You know, not indoors or not inside in a little seed pod. Direct sow means directly into the ground. So I separated the zinnias. I have 3 that are a little bit taller, so I'm going to set those aside, and 2 that are a little bit shorter. So I think these would be good candidates for the raised garden bed, just so that they don't get extremely tall. Not that I won't put the other ones in there, but I'm going to start out with these 2 here. So the first one I have is called Zinnia Persian Carpet, and I'll hold that up so you can take a look at it. And this zinnia blooms summer to frost. It's called Zinnia Persian Carpet. It gets 12 to 16 inches tall, and it's an heirloom zinnia. It creates a carpet of warm, festive colors in your flower bed. This Mexican zinnia blend is very heat and drought tolerant, and it's a delightful cut flower. So when to sow outside, it's recommended to sow 1 to 2 weeks after your average last frost date. And I am in zone 6B in Western New York, and my average last frost date was about May 11th, somewhere in there. So we are just about a month past my average last frost date. That's life sometimes. You know, sometimes you just can't get out here. Sometimes you just can't make it happen, and that's okay. I'm okay with making, I wouldn't even call it a mistake, but I am okay with not following the rules, so to speak, in my garden. I look at my garden as a place of my own where I like to learn and grow, and I also like to inspire and encourage. So I'm okay with being a little bit past the recommended sowing outside, you know, time. And actually it's really just if you want blooms at a certain time. So it just means that my blooms are going to be a little bit later in the season, going into the fall maybe more, and that's okay. I'm looking also at my garden as a classroom, really. So I'm just going to be, you know, looking at this elevated garden bed as a place that I can learn and grow and, you know, become inspired myself. Another zinnia that I will be direct sowing today is the Zinnia Envy, a beautiful green colored zinnia. Blooms in full sun, gets 24 to 30 inches tall, and it's also an heirloom. And the description on this packet says, the Zinnia Envy is a rare flower color. The chartreuse blossoms are unique attention getters. Imagine their beauty in floral arrangements. Your neighbors will be green with envy when they see this truly unusual flower in your garden. Use the 3-inch to 4-inch wide blooms to create stunning arrangements for your table or fresh flower wreaths. The Zinnia Envy. The next zinnia I'm going to be planting is called the Cut and Come Again zinnia. So I'll show you what that looks like here. It's also an heirloom zinnia. Grows in full sun. It's an annual. And this one gets a little bit taller at 18 to 30 inches. Also, the description says, vibrant colors, too many to list. The more you cut, the more they bloom. Attracts butterflies in search of sweet summer nectar, and it's a great cut flower. And I just had a question for anyone else who has some, experience with zinnias. I was wondering if all zinnias are considered cut and come again. I see that this one here says cut and come again, and I have several other packets, and I was understanding that all zinnias behave that way, that they were cut and come again. But all the other zinnias that I purchased, I don't see anywhere that it says cut and come again. So if you have experience with zinnias, could you please let me know? Do all zinnias behave that way? Are they all cut and come again, or is it just certain varieties? If you could leave that in the comments below, I would really appreciate it. So again, in my cut flower garden, I'm going to be doing the Zinnia Envy, Zinnia Persian Carpet, and Zinnia Cut and Come Again. And here is my elevated garden bed that I purchased from Garden Supply, and this is where I'm going to be direct sowing my zinnia seeds. It is a 2-foot by 8-foot elevated garden bed, and I will link it in the description box below. It's made of cedar, and my husband did stain it for me, and I can include or put up on the screen the exact stain that we used. And this whole garden bed, it was actually inspired by another gardening YouTube channel that I love to watch, and the channel is called Grow For Me Gardening, and you probably know of the channel, and it's Eric and Christopher at Grow For Me Gardening, and I was just so inspired by their elevated garden beds. Now they have several in their backyard. They probably have maybe 4 of these long ones and 2 shorter ones. And I just really admire and think they have a good eye for style and everything. And I just fell in love with this style, and I thought it would look really good in my backyard. So if you want to go check their channel out as well and check out their garden beds, you can kind of see where my inspiration came from. I'll give credit where credit is due. And they also have a really great video on their channel about how to assemble this garden bed. And let me tell you, my husband and I did definitely, look to that video and watched and rewatched it a couple of times before we put it together ourselves. And it made the process, that much easier. So thank you, Eric and Christopher. So we used a combination of some organic raised bed potting mix that I got from Home Depot. I believe the brand name of it was Kellogg, and it was for elevated garden beds, and I can insert a picture of that. I'll insert a picture of what we used, along with some black cow compost. And I honestly don't remember how many bags we used. We basically used half compost and half organic elevated organic gardening mix to fill up this planter. So zinnias are only required to be planted 1/4 of an inch deep, which is not very deep at all. So I want to make sure that I don't plant them too deep. So I'm just coming down in the center of the bed, and all I'm going to do is just make a little bit of a row like that for myself. And I think what I'm going to do is plant the green envy kind of in the center. If you can envision the green envy in the center here, and then I'll put the other types on either side, the shorter variety. So the green envy, that's the one that gets the tallest. I'll have that in the center, kind of in a mass in the center. Then over to this side, I'll do the Persian carpet, and over to this side, I'll do the cut and come again. I think that's going to be my plan. Okay, so I'm going to start with our Zinnia Envy. really don't even know how big or small these seeds are, so let's take a look together. Oh, okay. They're kind of on the bigger side, which makes it easy. I'll show you. This is the Zinnia Envy. They're kind of on the bigger side, so it'll be easy to kind of drop them into the ground. I've seen some seeds that are so tiny that, you know, you kind of have to get out tweezers or wet your fingers to really grip onto the seeds. So I think these will be pretty easy. Okay, Persian carpet is up next. All right, let's see what these seeds look like for Persian carpet. Maybe they're similar to the Envy and a little bit on the bigger side, or maybe they're different. Okay, they're similar but a little bit smaller. Okay, we're on to our last packet of zinnias, the cut and come again. And again, I'm just going to be making just some shallow rows for myself. I didn't get too crazy with spacing, just because I didn't want things to be that complicated. I'm just making a shallow row and just kind of sprinkling the seeds in. And what comes up, comes up. Okay, so let's check out the Zinnia cut and come again. Now these seem to be a little bit bigger, kind of like the Zinnia Envy. The Persian carpet seem to be a little bit tinier. Let's check them out. That's what the seeds look like. And here I am direct sowing. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is just cover them up. Put a little rock at the end. I do have to get my labels out. I don't have, maybe I'll cut up a plastic cup. That's what I'll do. I was going to say, I just have some fancier labels that I've been using in my yard, but I think I can just cut up a plastic cup and label things that way, because I really don't need a fancy label for this area here. Put that last rock right here. Okay, now I'm just going to give everything a water and put my labels together as well. Okay, before I water, I'm just going to put together my plant labels, and I just have a plastic solo cup, and I'm just going to cut into the cup here and make myself some plant labels. Like I said, I have some fancier plant labels that I have been using for around my house in different garden beds, but for this particular project, I really just need something simple. So I'm just going to cut up this, see how I'm cutting up, I'm just making little tags here. I'm going to cut up this plastic cup. I'm cutting the whole cup, even though I really technically just need 3 labels, but I'll just cut the whole cup up here. And see, I just cut a little bit of the plastic cup, and I can even, sorry for all the noise by the way, I've kind of given up on trying to wait for a quiet time in the garden. As you can hear, there's lots going on, but I'm on the tail end of things, so I'm just going to keep going. Anyway, I cut up the plastic cup into little strips, and you can even just make a little point like that at the end, and you can stick it in the ground and label it. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is just label. So right here I have our Persian carpet. And I'll just replace it with one of my labels. I ended up making 2 labels for each type. So I'll put one in the front and one in the back. Water them in. So that's it. That's direct sowing zinnias, and it was quite easy, and I'm excited to see how they will emerge. They should be emerging in 3 to 10 days according to the seed packet. So I'll be excited to see that process and happy to share it with you as well. I'd also like to encourage you to direct sow your own seeds, get out in your own garden, in your own spaces, and try something new. I'm really enjoying learning how to sow seeds and how to plant something from seed. And if I can encourage or inspire you to do the same, that brings joy to my day. So thank you for joining me today, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.